Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to walk through how to beat the Great Centipede boss in Wuchang Fallen Feathers. There's a couple different strategies and items that you can utilize during this fight that can make it significantly easier. So if you are struggling with getting through this portion of the game, hopefully this video will help you out. You'll come across this boss after you make your way through the underground portion of the Shu Sanctum, and that is where you unlock that entrance after getting the key from defeating Wuchang. So starting off, I'll kind of go through the build and a couple other quick things that I'll touch on, and then we'll actually get into the fight and kind of walk through how to complete it. Okay, so first up, just kind of going through my weapon and equipment and a couple other callouts around items and whatnot. I'm using the Lashing Whip Longsword for this fight, which is a new item that you can find in this area. It's located just near the Mercury Workshop Shrine. If you kind of make your way to the opposite side of that room, you'll find a drop that you can pick up to get that weapon. So my build is kind of around using Longsword, so I'm using that. Another call out with this item, if you look in the description, it says using Temperance to buff Poise Break makes the effect much more potent. I'm not sure the exact details of that effect, but I'm using the, when I get into my build, I'll show you, I'm using the Poise Break Temperance. So I am assuming that kind of has some synergies there, but again, I'll kind of show that when I get into my build. And then for my armor, whoops, if we go over to that screen, this boss does do some burn damage, so I just kind of, I don't really think this is a huge deal breaker one way or the other, but I just kind of went through, you can see what I have equipped here, but just focusing on the items that had high burn resistance, so that's kind of how I picked these various items. And then the other important call out for equipment is this pendant, which is the Dracolich or Dracolich pendant. I'll kind of show a quick path of how to get here. It's a little bit hard to kind of describe where these things are located in this game, but it's past like those, like, I don't know, coffin monsters. I'm not quite sure what you would call them, but you can find them back there. So again, kind of walking through the path of where to get there. So the reason this item is important is this boss will do kind of a stun scream effect, and if you have this equipped, it completely negates that. Otherwise, you'll kind of have to smash the B button to get out of that stun. With this, it's completely ignored, so you can basically remove that entire aspect of the fight. So that's a really important item to equip. And then also, one thing I have on my belt here, you can see, are these purple camellias. So he also does some corruption buildup as well. So if you do get to that point where you have corruption, you can just quickly use one of these to remove that entirely. So I've got that equipped as well. And then finally, one more screen to look at on this menu. If you're curious, I'll show you all my stats here. So you'll notice I'm level 22 for context, and you can see what all of my current stats are with my resistances and all that good stuff. All right, so now moving on to the build portion of this, starting with my temper. So as mentioned, based off that item description on the weapon, I'm using the Poise Break Bone Needle. So again, I'm not entirely sure, honestly, what the bonus impact of that is, if there is one, but it seemed to work pretty well during the fight. So that's what I was using for my temper. And then, and if you do know the details of that, please let me know in the comments. But and then moving on to my benediction, nothing really special here. I just kind of equipped what I had there, but that's what I have equipped for my weapon on the benediction. And then moving on to my actual skill points and whatnot. So as mentioned, I was level 22, and you can kind of see what I've put those points into. So starting down the left tree, I did get, I found an additional Lost Remains, which you should come across as you get to this point. It's kind of right in the middle of where you're walking, so you can pick that up to increase your mana potency a little bit. And then, as mentioned, this is where I have the Poise Break upgrade, so that's where you get that Bone Needle. And then I've got a couple points down here, so I've got an additional Temperance charge, and then down here to get an additional stack of Skyborn Might. So that's kind of what my left portion of the tree looks like. And then, as mentioned, I'm using Longsword, so I've got that tree down here, mainly to get the Wind Force skill as well as the Sword Saint skill, but also to get the Strong Blade. So I've got +3 on my Longsword Mastery, so I've got that there. And then for the remaining points, I've got down a couple of these weapon trees. mainly just to get these +5. So I've got like I just go down here to get the +5 agility, and then I go down this path to get the +5 agility and the +5 strength. So really just kind of doing those, not for the weapon aspect of it, just for those +5 stats. But that's kind of what my skill allocation looks like for this build. All right, so now getting into the fight, first thing, probably most important, is make sure you don't miss that Bandit Cave Shrine. As you can see, that gives you a nice respawn point right next to the boss area. So as you see, I get my temper going before entering, and as mentioned, I'm using Poise Break. So I'm going to pause here for a second as we take a look at the arena, as there's a really important call out and something that we can use to make this fight significantly easier, which are those 4 pillars that you can see kind of in each corner of the arena. So we can kind of get him to hit those, which will stun him or knock him out for a period of time, allowing us to get a lot of damage in. So as we get into the fight, you'll see that I do that, but just kind of being aware of those 4 pillars, and you'll see that I kind of use those to my advantage as we get into the fight here. So starting off, he should normally open with this charge attack followed by a slash with his claws, so I just wait and dodge around that and then immediately counter with some light attacks to build up Skyborn Might from the Sword Saint skill. After that, keep an eye out as he may do his Scream attack, which would normally stun you, but with that Dracolich pendant you're immune, so this just opens up more opportunities to continue attacking while he's preoccupied doing that. After this opening sequence, I back away and look for my first opportunity to utilize one of the pillars, which he promptly hits while trying to jump attack me. Not only does this do some nice damage, but it also stuns him for a bit, allowing me to get in some more hits. Utilizing that Sword Saint on the light attacks to build up Skyborn Might, and then using Wind Force to do 2 quick heavy charged attacks using that Skyborn Might that I built up. Also notice the Poise Break buildup, which adds a nice additional chunk of damage as well. By this time, he's around half health, which will lead into the next phase of the fight where he does this blue laser attack. If you just back away and keep moving, it's pretty easy to avoid, and then he'll follow that up with 4 attacks from underground. The timing on these can take a couple tries to get used to, but if you dodge right as the ground turns red, you'll get a perfect dodge where you can build up a bunch of Skyborn Might from this phase, and if you're quick, you can also get in a few hits before he goes back underground as well. After this, I head over to another one of the pillars to try and lure him over for another stun. However, he ends up doing his laser attack again. You can use the pillars to hide behind for a bit, but the lasers do eventually break through. I didn't realize this at the time, but as you can see, breaking the pillars in this way also it ends up damaging him and stunning him, just like a direct melee attack would. So I head over to the next pillar where this time he does hit it with his jump attack, which again does some nice damage, and then I use some of the Skyborn Might that I've built up to do some repeated heavy charge attacks. After this, there's one more pillar remaining in the arena, so I make my way over there, and basically just do the same thing, which is enough to finally finish the fight. So that is the Blightweaver Great Centipede boss fight in Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.